Hello everyone. Guess what did happen? Okay, in previous episode, this node graph wouldn't come up and you would see bunch of errors. I collapsed them. Take a look. Test. Well, I removed the test image. But my manifest was right. So resources. Not here. There. Inside here, inside the editor one. Test, go away, build. And the way I found it, by the way, reflection utils, print manifest resources, we had that on assembly.getExecutingAssembly. I loop over all the assemblies in the list and get the the manifest resource names, and I debug them. And how did I debug them? Well, remember, we had this little tiny thingy behavior tree agent. I added an awake. I called my reflection utils, put that there, and now I don't need it. I just double check my manifest, and the manifest in graphic utils were correct. How do you know that? I was sure it was correct because it was base editor. Then it goes into resources, and if you right click properties, it says namespace provider true. So that's a namespace for itself. And then under here we get the images. The only error we had was that I removed the test image and I didn't have it, and this guy was not happy. Boom! Now we have everything. And this guy says create or load graph. Cool, let's create a graph. And BT start node schema. Wow. Wow. That is not what I want. Huh. Okay, come back. This is easy fix. Let's go into our pop-up window. Window. Creation pop-up. Let's take a look. What attribute I'm getting? Node attribute. No. We want graph attribute. Build. Come back. Hit create, and voila, behavior tree is the only one that we have. Let's call it test and create. If everything works correct, now we have a start node at the start. And because I set that manifest to true, now you see an example of all the manifests, and this is where I saw that Boz base editor resource says, and I said, oh yeah, that was the correct manifest. So let's come back here in our graph utils, wherever it is. Set this constant back to false. Okay. And on behavior tree agent, for time being, I will add a public bool print manifest because I'm not sure if I will have this problem in future or not. So I will say if print manifest, then please print manifest. Build. Going back. So right now, all we have is a start node. What will happen if I tick the graph? Null reference. Where was that now? And I don't get the line numbers. That's interesting. Behavior tree tick method. What is null here? It shouldn't be anything. So behavior tree tick method says active node. Oh, you know what's going on? Can you say what's going on? Take a look at reset method. This line needs to be here too. So build that. So delete the graph, yes. And now we have missing reference. Behavior tree schema. Where? Graph schema line 100. And that's the magic of PDB handler, by the way. Graph schema. Line 100. Set 30 this. Well, that's not where it's being called from. Come on. Update GUI, okay, where it's being called from is graph workview line 53. Line 53. Somewhere around here. Current, oh. Oh. See? No propagation if current graph does not equal null. Please, current graph, do that. And it's not being understood by Unity. Ha, built. Back. And that's fixed. Okay. Cool. Now, if I create a new graph, and if I tick the graph, I'm still getting that null reference exception. Line 37, untick method. Well, this is the thing. Reset the graph, tick the graph. That's okay. You get the error state. But that reset graph is not working, and inside initialize, am I calling the initialize anywhere? I need this part. No, basically. Well, reset please, whatever the reason is. Oh. You remember we have one more initial. Public override initial setup. Here I can say that, but remember our initials, our real initials are happening in sequence. So here I'm initializing the current graph before it's a schema. Let's move it after the schema. The order of operation is really important here because this is what is generating our start node. This is what we will set the start node. Okay, so build. So delete, yes, create, and on very first tick, we get that error. Okay, so we fixed that. So, few bugs to debug, and that's it. The rest of the graph was always the same from the chapter 1. Okay, so I'm happy with this. And now we can move forward for our next nodes. And by the way, decorator, success, failure, we have them. So this part is working, this part is working, reset, tick, reset, tick. And because this guy has no children, we decided that it will be errored. And if we look at our graph itself, state equals inactive. That shouldn't be. Start node is errored. So it's not passing it upwards, okay? That's the very first error. So let's close everything. Coming back to our start node. When we are errored, the same parent graph dot state equals our state. That's it. Build. So reset, tick, and there we go. Now the graph is errored. Okay, and we reset it to inactive again. Now, something to remember. If you in future come and we create some nodes, connect the nodes, we come back to the code, we change something, we build our solution, come back to Unity, Unity imports everything, everything looks fine in here. But the moment you hit this tick, you get something like null point exception or index out of range, something like, with these two errors, I didn't see any more errors. Either it's null point exception or it's index out of range. That means that the change we made is so gross that the previous node that we changed its code is not functioning anymore. So either we have to delete the whole graph and create the graph from scratch, or we delete those nodes and make the connections, or sometimes because the build and importing the assets, the serialization of the graph gets screwed. I had seen it, okay? So if that happens, just delete the whole graph, recreate the graph, test it, and if that error exists again, that is when you need to, debug the issue. So in your tests, don't go crazy on the graphs. Start little by little, because this happens every now and then, and I don't like to, telling you, hey, this was this error, just that. No. Just be careful about null point and index of out of ranges. Need to delete the graph, create the graph, and by the way, if I say clear graph, I just tested right now that the start node is not being deleted. Okay? And I don't see any start nodes here. Cool. And of course, this will throw an error, argument exception. Good. So that was few debug stuff. And I noticed that when I'm using this tick graph, if I'm throwing any errors, I get any errors, I don't get any line numbers sometimes. That may be an internal bug of Unity, because you had seen me seeing my line numbers because of that PDB handler. That was a cool thing I decided to do. And I wish I had done it in my R&D. You don't know how much I pulled my hair in my R&D because of that. Just that. Okay, so that's it. That was a quick video for some fixing issues. Next video, we will implement our success and failure nodes. Have fun, everyone. Bye-bye.